to explain and little time to explain it because both Dr. Ben and I are veteran classroom teachers. We're accustomed to bells, so churches are not strange to us, though we don't exactly belong to any. We know something about time. My topic that will be extended by Dr. Ben is a question. What will we tell our children about our fight for freedom? Extended again, what will we tell our children about our role in history? How we survived to this point? When people say we were slaves, what do we tell our children about our slavery in particular and slavery in general? What do we tell our children so they can stop turning their face away and want to crawl under the table when you mention our condition in the world? When will they stop blaming themselves? You have not explained it to them because you have not explained it to yourself. You have to know your oppressor and the nature of his oppression and what you did about it. At what point do we sit down and not argue about TV? At what time do we sit down and tell simple stories about our revolutionary heritage and get it across to our children? We have the longest revolutionary heritage of any people on the face of the earth. We have fought longer and harder and against great odds than any people on the face of the earth. Why do our children not know this? Because if they knew this and if they loved themselves, none of them would put poison in their veins. If they knew this, they would know that a code of conduct is expected of them, that they cannot afford to live selfishly. Their conduct must reflect the best in a whole people. And when someone tried to lead them in ways not of their liking, they should have enough sense of their own selves on this earth to say we are not a people who engage in things of that nature. We are not a people who demean ourselves in that way. But for them to know this, they have to know what kind of society produced them. Coming out of a collective society, being forced into an individual society in order to survive. And this is an assumption. You think that you must take on the traits of your oppressor, when your role is not to take on the traits of your oppressor. Your role is to prepare to destroy your oppressor.
What will we tell our children? Oh man, when I heard that, I thought that was such a great question for us to dive into on this Friday. Welcome to Breakdown Friday. Joseph Ward, Professor Carl Tone Jones. Pat had some business to take care of, so he couldn't be here. So shout out to Pat though. But you already know how we do. We hold it down this Breakdown Friday. Put your seatbelt on, get your snacks because we're going in. Once again, what will we tell our children?
That's a hell of a
Wow.
question, bro.
But also he in the latter part, he was talking about conduct and a code of conduct. He also talked about our long revolutionary history, teaching our children their history. If our children knew better about who they were, the conduct will be better. Now, what will we tell our children starts with us. It starts with us as the adults, because what stories, what narratives, what tangible things do we have to show our children as far as progression, not regression? Because our stories of glory can't just be stories of the distant past. Stories of glory have to be stories of the near past and the present. So when I hear him asking, what will we tell our children? I start in the mirror. What can I tell the youth about myself? That's what I start with. What can I tell the youth about myself? And then all the other adults, what can you tell the youth about yourself? Because we have to be adding on to our glorious history. We can't just keep trying to live off the glory of our history. How are we adding to this history? Before I go any further, I'm gonna send it to you though, PC. What will we tell our children?
um, First, we owe them an apology, and I mean that sincerely, because when I first started talking to young people, and with a revolutionary mindset, not just a revolutionary mindset, a liberatory mindset, the first thing I would do is apologize to them, because we we brought them into a world that wasn't prepared for them. Like, we didn't terraform this world so that we welcome them, and we didn't prepare them for the world in which they did come. And none of them asked to be here.
Mm-hmm.
None of them asked to be here. So we blame them for everything, and we take accountability for nothing. We blame them for their bad decisions. We blame them for their bad demeanor. But we don't take accountability for the fact that it was our job to shape and mold them to be the next generation of leaders, to
Mm-hmm.
be the next generation of innovators. And a lot of that's because we weren't that ourselves, if we want to be honest about it.
Right, right.
Just speaking collectively speaking, I mean, yeah, we have our individual accolades, and the to the common eye, they can seem impressive. But I always judge our impact on how it actually impacts the community.
Right.
For instance, when you talk about because I've seen people, you don't know what people are doing, you don't know what people are contributing to, perhaps, but I do know that when our neighborhoods are being gentrified, you don't have to see an announcement, you don't have to see uh, a press conference, you don't even have to know a meeting took place, but you see the difference, you feel the impact.
Yeah.
When you have inflation, nobody has to announce it, but you feel it at the gas pump. You see it at the grocery store when there's a markup of 10% on your items. We have not seen or felt that type of impact in Black spaces. We've seen the opposite.
Well, yeah.
We've seen the impact of violence and crime. And even though it's petty crimes, things of that nature going down, the violent crimes in a lot of areas are going up, especially the areas we live in.
Well,
So I would
yeah,
I would start off with the apology,
yeah,
and try to find means or ways to atone for the fact that we dropped the ball, and the generation before us dropped the ball. And I don't know how long we can go back in that line, but a lot of balls have been dropped,
yeah.
and this is where we are now.
Well, Dr. Clarke, along with a lot of our scholars and master teachers and elders in the past, have talked about the impact of knowledge of self. But nowadays, I think we really have to take a grand self-assessment when we're talking about not just attaining knowledge of self, but applying knowledge of self. Have we truly applied knowledge of self? And I asked that question because, and I'm not gonna say any particular groups or anything like this, but I know what I see. I know the statistics, and like you say, I can see the impact, and I hear about various groups of Black people who have existed throughout the years who have been said to have knowledge of self, but the communities that they exist in went down,
Mhm.
and they never owned anything in the communities, right? And so,
Well, hold on. They, I won't say they didn't own it. They couldn't protect it.
what down here, a lot of folk ain't. I say down here, a lot of folk ain't own stuff. I say that.
Okay.
So now, not to say that it's on them to make the community better, but what we can say is it's 2023 now, and we don't, like you said, we can't see the actual tangible impact, us included.
Hmm.
Us included. Like me and Pat checked a couple like some breakdowns ago. We talked about us. We've acknowledged that we've been a part of putting band-aids on gunshot wounds. We've acknowledged we've also been a part of going out with the intention of making things better, but not really understanding how to be impactful. But that's critical though. Those are the mistakes we made, because that's critical. Because if we want to give our children hope, we want to give our children encouragement, we want to empower our children, we have to be able to tell them stories based off of reality. We have to be able to tell them stories based off of current things, or things, like I said, in the near past that have happened. Can't just keep trying to go back to the ancient times. Yes, we can use those, but what have we done to contribute to it?
Mhm. Yeah, but I think what you're going to have is a lot of people who walk with King. You know,
I mean, that's cool.
I'm just saying, and I'm not saying like I'm saying as youth
Yeah, I know.
because I hope I said that right, but I'll be making up words. Uh, y'all know what I meant. So now you had like 2020, and so many people took to the streets. Now those people don't want to tell their children that I was out there in the streets when all that was going on.
Yeah,
I said, but
yeah.
are you going to tell your children you were out there marching with, these coordinated rallies that the police department was setting up? Are you going to tell them that part?
Well,
Are you going to tell them about how you really stood back and hoped somebody else did all the dirty work?
I mean,
You know,
you
and,
know,
and then,
those things culminated in a couple people becoming millionaires and buying mansions.
yeah, yeah, and a lot of missing money. And
This is what we got to tell our. This is literally what we have to tell our children right now, because this is what we've been doing.
but
Which
I
is
don't.
sad.
It is sad, but I think if we actually cared about our children, just the emotional knee jerk, oh, that's my child, that's my baby. No, but if we actually cared about our children, then you would see a lot more energy put into providing a future for our children.
Right.
Meaning damn it, it happened again.
Yeah, yeah. Say that again. Say that again.
I said, so you won't be just taking your son to the basketball court, teaching them how to, shoot a layup and dribbling skills and or taking your son out to the football field or and you won't be teaching your daughter how to do her hair and all that other stuff. I mean, that's part of growing up, but that's not laying a foundation for their future. You know, we are very comfortable in our oppression, so we haven't done as much to work our way out of it, and at a scary time because you know it's like what we tell our children. We tell them the truth.
We
I
have to.
don't care about you, and you're on your own. And I mean, and it's a harsh reality because, like I said, most people don't want to acknowledge that truth because it really shows them for the piece of what they become that they are in regards to their children. But if you didn't build a foundation for your child, if you think your child is going to function well in this world without you help, networking and creating opportunities for them, starting businesses and starting institutions and creating institutions that are going to last more than a generation, finding ways that we can have access to food and land and just the basic tenets of the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When you don't find, when you can't provide food, shelter, protection, and a form of access to some form of income or residual income, then you don't give a damn about your children. You didn't
Right.
do anything to protect your futures of your children.
Right.
And therefore your grandchildren and so forth will just be a byproduct of your offspring. But at the same time, tell them the damn truth. Hey, listen, I brought you in this world, but after a certain amount of time, I just sent you out. What's that phrase in the Bible? Behold, I release you a sheep amongst the wolves. That's what we need to tell
Well, the phrase "getting it out the mud" has become popularized, and it's almost as if it's not almost. It's become a phrase of honor to have gotten it out the mud. And yeah, we praise anybody who get out the mud, but we still shouldn't be getting it out the mud in our generation. And then the generation under us still shouldn't be getting it out the mud. And their generation under them still shouldn't be getting it out the mud. Because like you say, a foundation, we never rebuilt the foundations that we did build in the past that were torn down by white people. We never rebuilt them. I'm not going to say we never built them because we have. We just didn't rebuild them. A similar one of the things he talked about was when you don't have that knowledge of self and that knowledge hasn't been taught to you, you start to assimilate to the people. You don't take on the characteristics of your oppressor. You got to beat your oppressor.
them. Yeah.
So for that, because it just the individualistic stuff. We are so individualistic now that we have no choice but to lean on stories of the distant past because the individualism has tore us apart so much that we don't have enough collective victories or any collective victories to tell our children. And then they, the notion, do what I say, not what I do. That's not how you rock as an adult, as a leader. They got this, they're gonna watch what you do and mimic what you do. The elders before us, we saw what they did. Ones under us, they seeing what we're doing. It's a cycle of unproductive stuff that we keep doing. That's unfortunately, we shouldn't have to keep telling our kids these same stories. Our kids shouldn't have to keep saying these things. Like I'm saying, knowledge of self or applying the knowledge of self that you acquire, conditions would be better. Like you said, you were talking about gentrification earlier. Gentrification wouldn't happen if the communities wasn't ran down.